Have you ever wondered why some men become unforgettable, while others, no matter how kind or loving, end up forgotten? Think about it. There's always that one man she can't stop thinking about, the one whose absence feels louder than anyone else's presence. It's not his looks. It's not his money. It's something deeper, something darker. What if I told you that this kind of power has been understood for centuries by two of history's most fascinating minds, Machiavelli, the master of strategy, and Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of calm control? And when their philosophies meet, you discover the most forbidden method of attraction, a method so powerful that once you understand it, she'll be drawn to you in ways she can't even explain. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and watch till the end, because what you're about to learn could completely change how you experience love, power, and attraction forever. The story begins. Centuries ago, in Renaissance Italy, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli sat in exile, writing The Prince, a book about power, control, and human behavior. He believed most people were driven by desire and fear, and the one who could master both without being enslaved by either would always win. Meanwhile, in Rome, long before Machiavelli was born, a Stoic emperor named Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations, a guide not to ruling others, but to ruling oneself. Now imagine combining them, Machiavelli's cunning strategy with Marcus's calm self-mastery. That's not manipulation, that's evolution. It's how a man transforms from being chased away to being chased after. Let's dive into the 10 suggestions inspired by Marcus Aurelius, illuminated by Machiavelli's dark wisdom. 1. Rule your emotions, or they'll rule you. Have you ever been in love with someone who could control your mood with just one text, or worse, with silence? You wake up, check your phone, and if she hasn't replied, your whole day feels heavy. You start replaying everything in your head. Did I say something wrong? Did she lose interest? Why isn't she texting back? Sound familiar? Every man has been there. You're not weak for feeling it. You're human. But this is where most men lose power without realizing it. When you let her emotions decide how you feel, you've given her the keys to your peace. And once that happens, she stops respecting you, because subconsciously, she knows she owns your emotional world. Now imagine a different version of yourself. You wake up, check your phone, no message. But this time you smile, stretch, and move on with your day. You've trained your mind to stay calm no matter what. You've learned that your value doesn't depend on her response, her mood, or her validation. And here's the secret twist. When you stop reacting, when you stay grounded and peaceful, something strange happens. She starts to feel your absence. She starts wondering why her silence no longer shakes you. That's when curiosity turns into obsession. Because a woman may enjoy your love, but she craves your composure. So ask yourself, are you the man who gets lost in her silence, or the man whose calmness makes her chase for your attention? Master your emotions, brother, because the man who controls his inner world controls every situation around him. 2. Create value through scarcity. Have you ever noticed how, when you were always there for someone, always texting first, always showing care, always making time, they slowly started taking you for granted? It hurts, doesn't it? You gave them consistency, but somehow your consistency became invisible. That's the tragedy of being too available. Your presence becomes normal. Your attention stops feeling special. I remember a man, maybe you'll relate to him. He loved a woman deeply. Every morning his first thought was her. He'd text her good morning before even brushing his teeth. If she didn't reply within minutes, he'd stare at his screen, waiting. He adjusted his life around her schedule, cancelled plans for her, and whenever she needed him, he was there. But one day he realized something painful. She wasn't excited anymore. His messages didn't make her smile like before. His efforts felt invisible. Why? Because he made himself too easy to reach. Scarcity creates value. Think about it. Diamonds are valuable because they're rare. A sunrise feels magical because it only happens once a day. The same rule applies to your presence. When you stop being constantly available, not out of games, but because you're busy building your own world, something powerful happens. She starts noticing the silence. She starts missing the energy she used to take for granted. You see, absence whispers louder than attention ever could. So next time, don't rush to reply. Let her feel your value through your distance. When you become rare, you become unforgettable. Ask yourself, do you want to be the man she remembers when you're gone? Or the one she forgets while you're still around? Be rare, because what's rare is always desired. 3. Let her earn access to you. Have you ever met a woman and felt that instant spark? That rush of connection that made you want to open up? Tell her everything and make her feel like she already knows your soul. You send long messages, share your childhood stories, your dreams, even your fears. She smiles, listens, and for a while, it feels like she's completely yours. But then something changes. She starts pulling away. Her replies get shorter. The warmth fades, and you're left wondering, what happened? I was real with her. Wasn't that what women say they want? Yes, they want honesty, but not exposure. They want discovery. You see, when you give a woman full access to your world too soon, you rob her of the most powerful part of attraction, curiosity. Think of it like a book. If someone tells you the entire story in the first chapter, would you still be excited to read the rest? Probably not. A man who reveals everything too quickly loses his mystery. He becomes emotionally transparent, easy to read, easy to predict, easy to forget. Now imagine the opposite. You share pieces of yourself slowly, like chapters unfolding. She learns about your dreams, not because you told her all at once, but because she earned the right to know them. She senses that your world is deep, but not everyone gets in. That's when fascination begins. Because mystery isn't about pretending, it's about protection. You're not hiding because you're afraid. You're guarding what's sacred. So ask yourself, have you become too easy to access? Or are you the kind of man whose presence feels like a privilege? Remember, when she has to earn your soul, she'll never take it for granted. 4. Master the power of detachment. Have you ever cared so much for someone that you started losing pieces of yourself? Just to keep them close? You try harder. You become more patient. You forgive faster than you should. You give and give. And somewhere along the way, you stop noticing how much of yourself you've given away. You're not weak for doing that. You just love deeply. But here's the painful truth. Love without balance turns into obsession. There was a man who once told me his story. Maybe it sounds like yours. He was in love with a woman who, at first, adored him. She'd call him every night, send him long messages, laugh at every joke. But slowly she started drifting away. The texts got shorter, the calls fewer, and his mind became a battlefield. He tried everything. More affection, more effort, more time. But the more he chased, the more she pulled away. One night, sitting alone with his thoughts, he realized something powerful. He had made her the center of his peace. And anyone who controls your peace controls you. That's when he decided to detach, not in anger, but in awareness. He stopped begging for her attention. He stopped waiting by the phone. He redirected that energy toward his goals, his growth, his purpose. And that's when the shift happened. She started noticing his absence, his silence, his strength. Because detachment isn't about not caring. It's about caring without losing yourself. It's about loving someone fully, while still knowing you'll be okay without them. So ask yourself, have you been holding on too tightly to something that's holding you back? When you master detachment, you don't lose love. You attract a deeper one built on respect, not desperation. 5. Observe more, react less. How many times have you reacted too soon in love? Maybe she said something that hurt, and before you could even think, you fired back a message. Maybe she pulled away for a day and you panicked, thinking she'd lost interest. Or maybe she went quiet online, and your mind started spinning. Who is she talking to? What's going on? And so, without realizing it, you handed your emotions to uncertainty. You see, reacting is emotional impulse. Observing is emotional intelligence. There's a story of a man, let's call him Amir, he was dating a woman who was playful one day, distant the next. Every time she pulled away, he'd chase harder. Every time she ignored him, he'd overthink. Until one day, he decided to try something new, something that changed everything. He stopped reacting. When she became distant, he didn't send a long message. He just noticed. When she tested him with jealousy or games, he stayed calm. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He just watched. And slowly, she started changing. She began wondering why he wasn't reacting like every other man she'd known. His calm became mysterious. His silence became powerful. That's what happens when you observe more and react less. You rise above emotional chaos. You stop dancing to someone else's rhythm and start moving at your own pace. A woman respects a man who can see through her storm and still stand still. So next time, before reacting, pause, watch, learn. Because every reaction you don't give gives you more control. Ask yourself, are you observing the truth or reacting to your fears? Remember, the one who watches quietly always sees more clearly than the one who shouts first. 6. Power comes from purpose. When was the last time you felt unstoppable? Not because of someone's validation, not because she texted you back, but because you were chasing something bigger than yourself. You see, most men lose power in relationships because they forget their mission. They make her the mission, and when a man replaces his purpose with a woman, he begins to lose both. There's a story about a man named Zayn. He was ambitious, passionate and driven, but the moment he fell in love, he shifted his entire focus onto her. His mornings that once began with goals now began with texts. His nights that were once about dreams became about calls. He didn't notice it at first, but little by little she did, because women can feel it when a man loses his direction. And here's the paradox. The moment you start orbiting around her world, she starts drifting away from yours. One evening she told him, "You've changed. You're not the same man I fell for." And it hit him. She fell for his drive, his purpose, his energy, not his obsession. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Your purpose is what defines your presence. It's the fire in your eyes, the calm in your heart, the reason people respect your silence. When you have purpose, you don't chase, you attract. Because a man on a mission radiates energy that's magnetic. So ask yourself, what drives you when no one's watching? What's that one thing that would make your life meaningful even if she wasn't in it? Because here's the truth. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere. A man grounded in purpose doesn't need to beg for attention. Attention naturally follows him. Stay loyal to your mission and watch how effortlessly people, especially women, start respecting your presence. 7. Never explain your standards. Enforce them. Have you ever lowered your standards just to keep someone around? Maybe you told yourself, it's okay, she'll change. Or maybe I'm asking for too much. You knew what you wanted, but you bit your tongue just to avoid losing her. And yet somehow the more you tolerated, the less she respected you. That's not love, that's self-betrayal. There's a story about a man named Rehan. He was kind, loyal, and had clear boundaries in life. But when he met a woman he deeply liked, he began to bend. She would cancel plans last minute and he'd smile it off. She'd flirt with others online and he'd stay silent, afraid of being too controlling. He thought that being understanding would make her love him more, but instead it did the opposite. One day she said the words that shattered him. "You're too easy." Rehan, there's no challenge anymore. That day he realized a truth most men ignore. When you over-explain your worth, you make it negotiable. When you beg someone to understand your standards, you show them that your boundaries are flexible. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. You don't have to explain what you expect. You just have to live it." If you value loyalty, don't argue about it. Walk away from anyone who doesn't match it. If you value honesty, don't lecture about it. Be honest yourself and let dishonesty remove itself from your life. Women don't respect words, they respect consistency. When you quietly uphold your standards, you teach her exactly how to treat you. So the next time someone crosses your boundaries, remember this. The calm silence of enforcement is louder than the noise of explanation. You don't need to prove that you're a high-value man. Your behavior already speaks for you. The man who explains his standards looks for approval. The man who enforces them commands respect. And when you live like that, she'll know without a word that you are not a man who can be played with. You are a man who must be earned. 8. Use silence to command power. How do you usually react when someone pulls away? When she starts acting distant, cold, or indifferent, do you try to fill the silence? Do you send that extra message just to get her attention again? If you've ever done that, you're not alone. Most men do, because silence feels uncomfortable. It feels like rejection. But here's the truth that Machiavelli and Marcus Aurelius both understood. The one who controls silence controls the situation. There's a story about a man named Adil. He was deeply in love with a woman who knew exactly how to play the game of emotions. Whenever she wanted more attention, she'd go quiet. And every single time, Adil would chase. He'd text her, call her, try to fix whatever was wrong, only to end up more anxious, more drained, more confused. Until one day he stopped, not out of spite, but out of awareness. He realized his words were losing value because they were too available. He decided to embrace the discomfort of silence. Days went by. She noticed. The very same silence that once haunted him now haunted her. She started wondering, why isn't he chasing? Did he stop caring? Is he moving on? That's the paradox. Silence amplifies your presence more than words ever can. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference." Silence is that indifference in motion. It's strength disguised as calm. When you're silent, you project control. You communicate that your emotions are not for sale. You tell the world, "I don't react, I observe." You see, a man who speaks every time he's provoked reveals his weakness. But a man who stays silent makes others question his thoughts, his limits, his next move. That mystery, it's intoxicating. Women are drawn to it. People respect it. And enemies fear it. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, test you, or pull away, don't rush to fill the space. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Let it echo with power. Because silence is not emptiness, it's energy. It's focus. It's the mark of a man who doesn't need to explain himself to be understood. A lion doesn't announce he's the king. He just is. And when you learn to stay quiet when it matters most, you stop chasing validation and start commanding respect. 9. Always be the prize. When you look back at your past relationships, were you chasing or being chased? Think about it honestly. How many times did you bend your time, your peace, your priorities just to keep her interested? How many times did you try to prove your worth, to make her see how good you were for her? And how did that end? Most men lose power the moment they forget this one truth. You are the prize. There's a story of a man named Hamza. He fell hard for a woman who seemed to be everything he ever wanted. Beautiful, mysterious, captivating. At first, she admired his confidence, his ambition, his calm masculine presence. But slowly, as he began to fall deeper, he started giving her too much power. He began adjusting his schedule for her. He stopped hanging out with his friends. He even began apologizing for things he didn't do, just to keep the peace. The man she was drawn to, the one who was focused and grounded, slowly faded. And when that happened, so did her attraction. Because here's the paradox of desire. The moment you pedestalize someone, they stop valuing you. Women are naturally drawn to men they admire, not men who worship them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are filled with lack, "I hope she likes me, I hope I don't lose her," then you'll project insecurity. But if your thoughts are filled with purpose, "I'm the prize, and not everyone deserves access to me," then you'll project confidence. Being the prize doesn't mean arrogance. It means knowing your worth without needing validation. It means walking into every interaction with the mindset, "I bring peace," stability, and value. If she can't see that, someone else will. Remember, the prize never chases, the prize gets pursued. And the moment you embody that truth, when your energy says, "I choose, I don't beg," everything changes. Her tone changes. Her effort increases. The dynamic shifts, because women can feel it when a man knows his value. It's in the way he speaks, moves, and even stays silent. So from this day on, promise yourself this: never beg for affection, attention, or validation. You are the prize. You are the calm in a world full of noise. And the right woman won't make you question that. She'll recognize it. Stay grounded. Stay unshaken. Because the man who knows he's the prize never fears losing anyone. 10. Walk away like a king. Have you ever reached that point in love where you gave everything and she still took you for granted? You tried to fix things. You tried to explain yourself. You waited, hoping she'd see your worth. But all you got back was silence, confusion, and disrespect. And yet, even when your heart screamed leave, you stayed, because you thought maybe, just maybe, she'd change. We've all been there. But there comes a moment, a sacred, powerful moment, when a man realizes that walking away isn't weakness. It's his final act of strength. There's a story of a man named Daniel. He was deeply in love with a woman who once saw him as her world. But over time, her energy changed. The text became colder. The warmth turned into sarcasm. The love that once built him started to slowly drain him. He tried harder. He became nicer, more available, more forgiving. But the more he gave, the less she cared. Until one night, something inside him shifted. He looked at his reflection in the mirror and realized, this isn't me anymore. The man who once stood tall now looked broken. The man who once had peace now lived in anxiety. And that's when he decided to walk away. Not in anger, not in revenge, but in silence, with dignity. And here's what happened next. She noticed. Suddenly the man she thought would never leave was gone. His absence spoke louder than all his words. His silence became the echo of power she could never forget. Because when you walk away like a king, you don't beg. You don't explain, you simply withdraw your energy, and everything that once drained you starts chasing you again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Walking away from what disrespects you is the most righteous act of self-respect." You can perform. A king doesn't stay where his value isn't recognized. He doesn't fight for a throne that's already his by presence alone. He simply walks calmly, powerfully, leaving behind confusion, regret, and an unforgettable silence. Because when a real man walks away, he doesn't leave chaos. He leaves clarity. So if you're watching this right now and still holding on to someone who no longer values you, remember this: your power doesn't come from holding on. It comes from letting go with grace. Love her, wish her well, but never let her break your peace. Because the man who can walk away without looking back, that man owns himself. That man is free, and that man is unstoppable. The final reflection. When Machiavelli studied power, he saw people as pieces on a chessboard. When Marcus Aurelius studied the self, he saw emotions as illusions that needed mastering. But when you combine both, you unlock something most men never reach: emotional sovereignty. You stop needing approval. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing rejection. Instead, you live with calm precision. You observe, you decide, you lead. And that's when attraction becomes effortless, because women feel drawn to the energy of a man who no longer needs to prove anything. That's the forbidden truth. The man who chases pleasure becomes a slave. The man who controls desire becomes a master. So remember this: be calm when others are emotional. Be silent when others argue. Be rare when others beg for attention. That's when she'll begin to feel something deeper than attraction, an unexplainable pull toward your energy. Not because you played her, but because you mastered yourself. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.